So what we have here is a PayPal phishing attempt. Again, our spam filters caught this. The download remote content. This is more of the fake invoice that they send you, and then none of the images loaded because that's suspicious, an attempt there. So let's go look. Let's go poke around. Let's go see what's going on here. So first off, that return address or that return path, that is definitely very suspicious. So let's go ahead and see what we got going on here. I have so many tabs. Sorry about this. So it's actually a deleted, removed user domain. But actually, look at that, Indonesia. So that's our source. That's our source, Indonesia. So we're starting with that source, and this is a dummy, dead domain. It used to exist, but it does no longer exist. So perhaps what they were doing was they launched this when it did exist, and so maybe replication didn't occur with DNS. Not really sure, but that's the first clue. It's a dead dummy domain, but it's from Indonesia. So that's where our attackers are originating for this PayPal phishing attempt. So let's dig a little deeper here, see what's going on. So that's definitely very suspicious. And they're using Yahoo, and again from that from attempt there. We're keep on digging. So AT&T Mail, that's interesting that popped up. So let's do some. So Google also popped up here. So we are assuming that they're using the Google platform to launch these attacks. So we keep digging. We did see some AT&T Mail there. So they're doing a little bit of weird routing, but definitely Google from Google's email address. And then there's that dummy domain, that dead domain. So we're just kind of poking through the code here. It was HTML. It came through HTML, but none of the graphics popped up. So that's suspicious right there. They went ahead and used the Office products to craft this phishing attempt. So neither here or there. I mean, use Office products maliciously and/or for normal business process. So again, they could use anything. Obviously, Office is a well-known product, so not holding that against Microsoft. But it's actually interesting. It's pointing to some Yahoo, AOL membership fonts. That's actually very interesting. To me, that's a little dated. So let's do our href. Let's do our href in here. Href searches. So we come to a short, tiny URL. These are annoying because they don't map. I mean, they do map to a real URL. We could do some digging to find that, but we don't necessarily care about that. So first, we look this up. We look up that domain, and it's a tiny URL. So that means they've subscribed to that service there. They've subscribed to that service to kind of mask or hide the original domain. So that's suspicious right there. That's suspicious right there that we don't have. And I did some fat finger in there and some moves. We're just sniffing around to see where this URL lies. We definitely know it's from Indonesia, at least the initial attack. We don't know where this code lives because they're hiding behind. They're hiding behind a tiny URL. Wow, aren't you so sophisticated? So phishing attempt here. So this is one of the various threads and sites that track phishing attempts. So let me go ahead and capture that URL correctly because I kind of fat fingered it there. Do that Control Z to get out of that there. And so basically they set up this site and they set up a username and then it looks like a blank password. So that's their authentication. So this is one of the sites that popped up on the naughty list. So basically when you click on the link, they have some authentication behind the scenes. So most likely this is going to look like a PayPal site, a fake PayPal site. Well, in order for them to work the mechanism, the authentication mechanism, to successfully grab your credentials, they've got to create some dummy user ID. So Phishing Tank didn't find it necessarily here. It says it's not found. So, however, though, some generic Google searches found that is malicious. So they got this user ID. This is obviously not your user ID, but they have to set up an authentication mechanism on the site that is hosting the bad content. And they authenticate, so then they clear text pass that password, that username and password through. You go to the site, it looks like a legitimate PayPal site, but it is not. You log in, and they grab your legitimate credentials. They grab your legitimate credentials. They save those off. They use those legitimate credentials to log into the real PayPal. So, this looks like a kind of a brand new site. At least it just popped up as of 3 days ago on the 27th. So, so not a whole lot. This is a fairly new campaign, but an old phishing attempt. PayPal. So we keep poking around here. We keep poking around. Is linked to be tracked. So they're actually using some Google Analytics to track who's going to this site here. Everybody uses Google either for malicious attempt and or normal attempts. So I was just kind of poking around to see if I could find anything, and I didn't see anything in Fish Tank, but just some general Google searches did come up here, and it's a fairly new attempt. As we see here, the 27th was the latest, and of course I figured that, and of course that search is not going to be valid. So. But we concluded that is, and then we do our href here. We're doing our href back and forth, not to cause you some seasickness there, but just seeing what other hrefs tags are popping up here. So this seems to be a fairly new site, fairly new campaign for an old phishing attempt. And this is PayPal. So they're trying to download the PayPal, the legitimate icons, the legitimate graphics. And most likely they may have moved. I didn't check that PayPalObjects.com. That to me is slightly suspicious. But these are just downloading the images. These are just downloading the images, as you can see, right dash bottom JPEG. So these are broken images. These are broken links. So what's kind of funny on the scammers is when so what the scammers are doing, they're actually hard-coded and pulling in those graphics from those legitimate-looking sites. So if the fish gets through your spam filters and looks legitimate, they've pulled those icons from legitimate Amazon. However, though, Amazon, PayPal's, or the banking sites, they change that stuff all the time. Not necessarily the icons, but the locations on their servers. So what can happen is the scammers will get all those hard-coded values. They'll send their email out. But then once you open it up or receive it, Amazon may have changed their direct links. So it breaks. So I think that's kind of stupid. So, I mean, if they were a little more intelligent, they would download all those icons and host it on a server somewhere and point to that. Because anytime Amazon or PayPal or wherever, anytime they update their links or their source where those images lay, because nothing stays forever. So that's kind of weird. So this is a PayPal attempt. We see Amazon. So if this was a legitimate PayPal email, you would not see an Amazon reference. So why is Amazon here? So again, they copy-pasted this phishing attempt there's some residue code over, so they just did a change, but they failed to see that there's Amazon there. So that's another flag to show you that PayPal, this is a spam attempt. So we took a deep dive into the code to see what's going on, and these morons are copy and pasting from a template. So as we've seen before, that one boring Amazon attempt, it was 3 days to save. They copied pasted that. So again, that'll catch them because they're not clean enough to clean their code up. So hope this helps.